that doesn't look like what I ordered. This happens to me all the time. We went to Chick-fil-A just recently, and, we get home and I look in the bag and not all my items are there. And this causes a frustrating time. And sometimes I'm like, I'm huge on personal service, and my kids get embarrassed on this. My dad was this way. And I remember one time we were, this brings back a traumatic experience too, as my pops, he took us to McDonald's. This happened multiple times, but I'll just tell you about the one time where we go through the drive-thru and we order ice cream cones. Well, the guy comes out and he hands us the ice cream cones, and my dad hands them to us and then looks at them and says, "Hey, there's not enough swirls," meaning there's not enough ice cream. And he yells to the guy, hey, come back over here. He's like, "Go get your manager." And he goes and gets his manager, and me and my brother have the ice creams, and we're looking at them, and we're ready to eat these things. So we're so excited. And my pops is like, "There's only like 2 swirls on these, ice cream cones. You need to add more to it." And he said, "Sir, that's how much we're supposed to give." And he's like, "I don't accept that. Here, kids." And he grabs the ice cream cones back from us, and he hands them back to the guy, and then he just drives off, and we don't get ice cream. That's the end of the story. Well, that's the reason why I was traumatically hit, is because, see, my pops, what he ordered and what he expected when he ordered and what it turned out like was 2 completely different things. Well, this happened the other day because I had plans with my son, and we were going to go to the football game. We leave at the house about 5:30, and about 4:45, almost 5 o'clock, my daughter comes and says, "Hey, Dad, I need to go to the store because tomorrow I've got a competition and I need these shirts." Well, I was like, "Baby, we ain't got any time." But I knew, with my wife out of town and my daughter there, like, I knew she couldn't get there by herself, so I had to do this. Well, pause for a second. Before we ever had kids, I remember telling my wife very early on in our marriage that I wanted to be, Uber wasn't around then, but I wanted to be a taxi cab driver for the kids. I wanted to, go to all their sports games. I just wanted to take them to school and pick them up and do all these things. At the time, I didn't think that was feasible because of our lifestyle. And I said that was my ultimate side, goal to be able to do. Well, fast forward, now I have the time and the ability to do it, but it didn't look like what I had ordered up. What I had ordered up is, this spending time with my kids, all this stuff. But here was an opportunity to spend time with my daughter before I went to spend time with my son later that night. But here I was getting so upset because it wasn't on my timing. Well, it was like 4:45 and it takes like 20 minutes to get to the store and 20 minutes back. That means 40 minutes. So there's no way I'm going to be able to, leave when I thought I was going to be able to leave to go to the football game with my son. But I had to settle in. I wish that, I would have had the greatest attitude in the world while I went with my daughter to the store, but I didn't. I was rushed. But the reason why I'm telling you the story is because I want you to learn from my mistake. I wasted that 20 minutes in the car there and 20 minutes back of just spending time with my daughter, which was the thing that I wanted. But what I realized is that most of the time when God answers our prayers and answers the things that we ask for, it's not going to come looking exactly the way that we ordered. And in Proverbs 18, it talks about this. It talks about the fact that it's not always going to turn out or look like what we ordered, but it's going to be the thing that we asked for. And so it's going to be amazing. In this episode of Inchstones, we go through the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, and God lays it down in Proverbs 18. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got 2 shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Puts a smile on my face every single time I hear that music. It is the music for the Vibe Room, which is a live version of the podcast, and it's happening November 9th. If you don't have your tickets, you can get them in the link in the bio. It is an unbelievably powerful room, and it's in Salt Lake City at the Edison House, and it is going to be unreal. Well, as I was writing Proverbs 18, writing the production notes for this, I was looking through it, and honestly, like things, no matter what, whether it be in business, relationships, anything like that, nothing has ever turned out exactly the way that I thought it was going to be. It always turns out better, especially when my hard-headed self listens. But that experience the other day, I had always prayed for time with my daughter and time with my son. I got them both that night, but I didn't get them the way that I wanted them. And so just be conscious of this. And in Proverbs 18, it takes us right through. And if this is the first time that you tuned in, this is Inchstones. So we got 3 different shows on the podcast. When you tune in, sometimes you'll get an interview with some of the most iconic people in the world, and they give advice to my kids by name. And then we also have Inchstones, which is this, what I suggest. Go to the playlist on Spotify. There's a playlist called Inchstones, and you can have that. And take me on your walk. It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We do this commentary, and we're constantly going after wisdom, but it's a way to be able to look at wisdom in a little bit different way. We go through the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, and how that can be applicable in our lives today. And so that's and then the third show is that I go live and I call my friends randomly. And now my friends sometimes don't even answer their phone. I called my brother the other day, and he's like, "Oh man, am I on the podcast?" And I said, "No, I'm just having a conversation with you." You know what I mean? But I surprise them, and it's like at times, and I call them randomly. It is hilarious. So I'm going to throw on my glasses too, because that's where we're at in life. And if my wife is watching now, she sees where all her glasses go, because I steal them and I take them. The reason I do this is because if I don't get my own glasses, it means that my eyes are fine. I just happen to be using hers. So let that sink in for a second. I want to thank you all for tuning in too. If you are tuning in on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the little notifications. That way you'll know when we're going to be going live. And also on Spotify, hit the follow button, and on Apple, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and then leave a comment. It helps us out, and we're listener supported. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate that. If you don't have the book, The Vibe, pick up the book, The Vibe. It's on, and the link in the bio. It's incredible because it goes through, has 5 different components to it. Your culture, your systems and your processes, your productivity, your innovation, and your ability to adapt immediately. But it's all powered by the vibe. And the vibe is made by your heart set, your mindset, and your skill set. When you align them, you create an irresistible vibe, because it's not the energy you bring into the room, but it's the way in which people feel when you leave. And it doesn't matter the systems, the culture, all those things that you have, if people don't feel good about them. And it chronicles how you can do that and construct that in your own life and in your business. And also with the Bling Shine Serum, it adds moisture, strength, shine, and it smells like vacation. Every single woman needs a little bling in their life. So let's get to Proverbs 18. In verse 1, 2, 3, 10, and 19 is always look for the good. Like, this is one thing that with my son Maddox, probably one of the most positive guys in the world, and he always looks for the good. He's always looking for the great in things. And so, I remember I was in Fresno, and we had a speaking engagement there. They brought me out for a keynote, and we went to the airport, and our flight was delayed. Then it was delayed again. Then it was delayed again. And by the time we were going to get home, after waiting for the 3rd delay, it would take us the same amount of time to drive. So we went down and we rented a car, and we get to the car, and my son says, "Daddy, I just want to let you know that it's so cool that we got delayed, because we get to spend more time together in the car." And I was like, "Man, how could you even think that way? This is so awesome. It's late at night. We just got done, whatever." We get in the car, we drive, and we stop at In-N-Out. And right after we get out, back on the freeway, he says, "Daddy, you know what? If we would have waited and flew in that plane, the plane would have never stopped to get in and out. Isn't this awesome?" He was always looking for the good. And if you always look for the good in your life, guess what? You'll find it. So in verse 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 21, which means in Proverbs 18, it was very, very important. This little thing was speak life and encourage people often. Speak life and encourage people often. How do you speak life? It's by using somebody's name. And I tell you, I ask you to try this today. Speak life through your voice. Call someone and say their name. Say, "Hey, Rob, just want to let you know that I want to thank you for blah, 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 specific things that you were able to do. Like my brother, hey, Rob, if you're listening to the podcast, I want to tell you that you reaching out and telling me and Dave and Will that we're all going to Ben Harper. And by the way, you bought the tickets. I want to tell you how much that means. And so that's speaking life. If you do that in your life to different people, it's unreal what can happen. You can also do this through a letter. You could write a letter, but do it in penmanship. Write a letter to your friend, your wife, your kids, whatever it is, and write something specific. And then encourage people often. The thing that we most of the time are lacking that is free to every single person, but has the highest ROI is just encouragement. How often are you specifically encouraged? I asked a kid at D-Task, my daughter's competition the other day. I asked her, I said, hey, asked this kid, his name is Tavin, he's a really, really cool kid. I said, how often are you encouraged? And he just looked around, he was like, what do you mean? I said, how often does somebody tell you how awesome you are? And he just stopped for a second. The reason why, because most of us don't get encouraged enough. So if we can encourage, it would be amazing. In verse 9, 13, and 15, a lazy mind finds trouble. Chew on that for a second. A lazy mind finds trouble. In verse 11, 14, 22, and 23, invest in what really matters. If we can invest in what really matters, it's amazing, because if we invest in wisdom, where do we get wisdom? From the fear of God. Fear of God is just respecting him, which means we spend time with him. His words and actions are in line. And when that happens, what happens is we invest in what truly, truly matters. My brother is probably the best example of this. He invests in his family, invests in time with his kids, time with his wife, time in his business. He works his land. He invests in things that really, really matter. And I've seen his life and his relationships really, really blossom. I see the joy in his face in the pictures that he posts, or when I see him, I hear it in his voice all the time, because he invests in what really matters. Let's see, in verse 17 and 18, watch this. Listen, 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 discern, seek counsel, then speak if necessary. This was a tough one, because my profession is this podcast and keynote speaking for companies, conferences, and organizations. And so when I read this, it says, listen, 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 discern, seek counsel, and then speak if necessary. But my mind always goes to speaking first. How can I add value to this place by speaking this? But if I listen, 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 I was at D-Task the other day, which is a drama competition for my daughter. And I was just listening. I was asking a question, then I was listening. And I was hearing all these things that these kids are talking about. And then I was discerning it, seeing are there things that I could say that would add value? And then I'm seeking counsel. I'm seeking counsel from the word. Like, I didn't have a friend that I was able to talk to there, but I'm running it back and forth against Proverbs that I read every single day. So the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. And then and only then I speak if necessary. And so that this works, although it's probably one of the toughest things ever. So let me say it again. Listen, 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 discern, seek counsel, wise counsel, and then speak if necessary. And in verse 24, as we finish up, is the wisdom will create vision that will help you not to overlook the blessing that is right in front of you. Because most of the time, the blessings won't look like what you ordered. What you order up, God is going to deliver, and he's going to do it exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever imagine, but it most of the time won't come in the exact packaging that you think it's going to come in. And so a lot of times we can overlook that, but wisdom will create vision. And that will help you not to overlook the blessing that is right in front of you. And in verse 24, it drives that home. See, God is consistently answering our prayers, although most of the blessings don't look like what we ordered. And that's why a prayer list is so important. And I'm going to implore you, I'm going to ask you today, just this actionable step, take out a piece of paper and write down a prayer list. Now date it, and then just specifically, whatever that prayer is, leave a little bit of room in between, because God's going to deliver it. He might deliver it tomorrow, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line. But the reason why we keep a prayer list is so we can remember when we ask God that when he delivers on it, we could give him credit, as opposed to saying that it came out of the blue or it came from your effort, because it didn't. It came from his blessing. In my life, I've constantly got frustrated at times, because I'll order something up and then I'll get something, like I did the other day. I ordered up, here was my prayer. Oh, I wish I could spend a lot of time with my kids. And then I got the opportunity to, but it was in the form of driving my daughter 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes back when I needed to be someplace in 15, 20 minutes, which means I had to take 40 minutes with her, plus at this, 40 minutes just the drive, plus the store. But I had asked years ago to be able to spend time with my kids. And God was delivering it, but he wasn't delivering it in the packaging that I wanted. So I got a little frustrated and I wasted that moment. Don't waste the moment. Learn from this boneheaded dude that's talking to you right now. This has been Proverbs 18. If you don't have the book, grab the book on Amazon, grab Bling. Make sure and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a comment. It means the absolute world. We're listener supported. Ashley, you know who you are. And I want to thank you so much. And also share it with somebody. But the actionable thing for you is make sure you read this Proverb 18. Just read it on your own and then write out a prayer list, maybe 3 or 5 things, and date them, set them aside, and just watch what'll start to happen. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
On my mind, I got 2 shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because